Welcome to a surprise episode of the Hedgehog Watchdog. Been on a little bit of a break for the holidays and whatnot, but important issue came up, so we wanted to talk about it today. I'm Greg Baldwin, Devin Saxon, my co-host.
What up?
He's been pretty busy the last month himself, so trying to get him booked on the show has been a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it's been pretty busy. Started a food trailer, so I've been rocking that. But
Hello, Nikki.
We're doing the show again.
Oops.
Yes, we're alive.
We are. We've just been working, which is a surprise for us because if you know us, we do more playing than we do working, but we've been working.
Yeah. Let's have to call it season 2 when we start again since we took like a 2-month break.
Yeah. Well, I figured for sure get started after the holidays, It's almost candidate season, so we'll be interviewing candidates and bringing them on the show and learning all about them and promoting them. Slave to the man. Sorry about that. So today we wanted to talk about, it's kind of an old issue, about a week now, but typical government fashion, they do this in Washington, D.C. a lot. You see they send out press releases on Friday afternoons because they hope that it kind of gets drowned out in the news cycle and it kind of works and people aren't paying attention on a Friday. And so the state Supreme Court in South Dakota finally issued a ruling on Amendment A, and they issued their ruling the day before Thanksgiving, so trying to slide that one in there. And as expected, at least I expected, they ended up ruling that Amendment A is unconstitutional. And for those that don't know what Amendment A is, which there shouldn't be really anybody, but it's the recreational marijuana. Actually, it was everything. That was the alleged hang up that why they ruled it unconstitutional was that it covered hemp, it covered medical, and it covered recreational. So they said that was multiple subjects, and in the state constitution, it's a single subject rule, and so therefore, the Queen and her court has deemed it unconstitutional. So before we get in with our opinions on the subject and whatnot, I thought I would kind of go through and read a couple paragraphs of this statement. It comes from South Dakotans for Better Marijuana Laws. They're the people that brought the ballot measure, and so obviously they were disappointed. Here's the statement from Matthew Schweik, campaign director for South Dakotans for Better Marijuana Laws. We believe that this ruling from the South Dakota Supreme Court is extremely flawed. The court has rejected common sense and instead used a far-fetched legal theory to overturn a law passed by 225,000 South Dakota voters based on no logical or evidentiary support. The ruling states that Amendment A comprised 3 subjects: recreational, medical, and hemp, and South Dakotans cannot tell what they were voting on when they were voting for Amendment A. It's a legal stretch and one that relies. Or go ahead, yeah, if you got something, interject.
No, dude, I don't want to interject. Keep going.
It's a legal stretch and one that relies on the disrespectful assumption that South Dakota voters were intellectually incapable of understanding the initiative. Furthermore, this reasoning is wrong for a number of reasons. One, as the dissent points out, there was no evidence of voter confusion It's unacceptable that the court would violate the ballot initiative process based on no actual evidence. It is clear voters understood that Amendment A was not solely a medical marijuana initiative, given that only 54% of voters approved Amendment A, while 70% of voters approved Measure 26, which was the medical marijuana measure. If voters believed Amendment A was only a medical marijuana bill, there would not have been a 16-point gap in the election results, which, that kind of is true there. The assertion that South Dakota voters believed Amendment A was solely a hemp legalization initiative defies logic and reality. Furthermore, South Dakota had already enacted hemp legalization by the time voters approved Amendment A. Number 4, medical marijuana and hemp were mentioned in just 3 sentences in Amendment A. The rest of the initiative addressed recreational marijuana. Furthermore, it's worth noting that recreational marijuana, medical marijuana, and hemp are all versions of the same plant, cannabis. The fact that South Dakota Supreme Court took nearly 7 months to issue a ruling on an election-related lawsuit is extremely problematic. This indefensible delay undermined the public's faith in South Dakota's elections, its systems of government, and its judiciary. The court owes the people of South Dakota an explanation. Finally, this ruling relied on Governor Noem's role in directing Colonel Miller to commence the litigation. The evidence for this is a mysteriously timed executive order on January 8th, 2021, nearly 2 months after the lawsuit was filed in court. The executive order directly contradicted a statement that from Noem's spokesman, Ian Fury, who said on November 23, 2020, that Governor Noem did not ask Colonel Miller or Sheriff Tom to bring the lawsuit. This inconsistency has never been explained. Governor Noem owes the public an explanation. We should know whether the executive order issued in January was truthful. We are as energized as ever to continue our work. We will not stop until cannabis is legalized in South Dakota. That was a mouthful.
Nikki says, how ironic that our state motto is under God the people rule. Isn't it ironic, don't you think? A little too ironic.
Yeah, Solanus.
Yeah, so apparently they're saying now weed, medical marijuana, recreational, and hemp are all different subjects, I guess, supposedly. I figure, legalizing recreational kind of by default legalizes all 3 of them.
Yeah.
So that's one subject, in my opinion.
Yeah.
4-1, though. We got one Supreme Court justice not under Christie's boot, apparently.
Yeah. And she had a video. I thought about trying to find it and playing it, but I didn't. But she had a video right after the thing came out where she, sat up there, just quick recap, was like, well, it's South Dakota is a constitutional state, and this is all about the rule of law and the Constitution. And it's like, no, because as you pointed out, there's a ballot measure going to be voted on the primaries, but you pointed out the other day that under the state's strict one subject guidelines that they claim that you have to have this ballot measure in June, it's not one subject. It covers multiple subjects. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it said if you raise taxes or increase spending by $50 million in the first 5 years.
Or impose a fee. There was a third one, too.
Yeah.
Or a fee. Yeah.
Then you need a 60% vote threshold. And that's 3 separate subjects.
Yeah.
So how's that going to fly? Are we just we're going to go to the Supreme Court again with that one?
Yeah, I doubt Noem will have any challenges for that, even though
yeah,
strict constitutionalist,
Yeah, so here's Noam's exact quote. South Dakota is a place where the rule of law and our Constitution matter. And that's what today's decision is about. We do things right. And how we do things matters just as much as what we're doing. What does that even mean?
Yeah.
We're
It
still
means,
governed by the rule of law. Like, okay, Christy.
yeah, it means, hey, there's a meme or whatever where it says, "I'm all for freedom if done legally," and that's pretty much what she word for word said there. It's
Yeah.
like, we're for freedom, but only if done legally. But she's not. The problem with making statements like that, in my opinion, is that you've publicly came out against that subject. Like, you're not in favor of it, so you don't really get to take some moral high ground on an issue that you weren't in favor of. And of course, you're happy that it didn't pass, and you'll use any damn excuse. Uh,
Yeah.
but the other thing that he kind of said in that statement too about the taking 8 months to issue a ruling, and that being ridiculous. I mean, I agree. It's like you're not think. You and I had this conversation before. It's like you're not having. If you're on a jury or something like that, right? And the state presents their case, and the defense presents their case. You don't get to go home for 7 months to think about it, to come back with. You know what I mean? It's like a rational person, when they hear all this evidence, it's like, well, I'm going to make a decision, in a couple days, a week or something like that. You're not going to take 8 months. Like, what did you go discover that took 8 months? You know what I mean? Like, you didn't discuss it for 8 months. You continued to hear other cases. So I guess that's my point. It's like you didn't need to take 8 months. You knew you weren't going to approve it 8 months ago. You wasted everyone's time.
There weren't any protests either. It's kind of bummed me out a little bit. I guess they didn't want. I don't know. I'm assuming that they just didn't want it to be South Dakotans against for better marijuana laws, whatever. Didn't want to take responsibility if it got a little too rowdy. Now it's too cold to protest. It's like 5 degrees out today. Holy crap!
420 at the 420 in Pierre.
That's probably why they waited so long. It's like, we're gonna wait till it's too cold to protest, and then we won't have to deal with those goddamn hippies all pissed off that.
Well, there are people that think that the legislature is going to address it this year, but I have no faith of that happening. I mean, there are obviously some younger people in there who probably would vote in favor of it, but the controlling majority are still these old, white-haired old people that ultra conservative. They hate the thought that. I mean, when I was running for office, one of the guys I was running with, he's not in the legislature anymore, but he was at the time. And like one of the questions at the time was about marijuana, and like he basically flat out said, he's like, "Well, I'm not in favor of it. I recognize that, the tide's turning and more people are in favor of it." But I mean, that's all I'm saying is like, that's the attitude. Like they know better than you, so they're going to make sure to protect the youth.
Yeah, that's their attitude. So I guess we got to wait till 2022. Vote on it again.
Yeah, so they are still collecting signatures right now. They have until May to collect signatures. So there is another recreational. This one isn't an amendment, though. This is a ballot initiative. So the problem, I guess, with the ballot initiative is like the legislature can basically do whatever they want with the bill. I mean, it still legalizes it recreationally, but it kind of leaves it up to them to taxes, who licenses, things like that, all the regulations that go along with it. And anybody who's been watching the medical marijuana licensing and all that's been going on in the last couple of months, you probably should learn real quick. You don't want the government coming up with these rules because they're the ones that come up with rules that say there's only going to be 5 millionaires in Sioux Falls. You know, five medical dispensaries for a town that's 200,000 and growing. And so 5 people get to monopolize. I mean, technically it's 5. It's not a monopoly, but it's not free market. It's not free market competition by any means.
Yeah. Well, we got a pretty long comment here. Let's do Nikki's first. I respect our governor's office, even if I don't agree with everything she does, but this is just silly to throw this in the voting people's face. I agree with everything except respecting the governor's office. That's just me, though. I think there should be a lawsuit against. I just think it's in bad faith that it was law enforcement that filed the lawsuit. Essentially,
that the governor dictated. It wasn't a private citizen. It wasn't somebody that got mad. You know what I mean? It was the government in cahoots, conspired. You know, they like to throw that conspiracy around. The government conspired. Kristi Noem and her cronies conspired to remove recreational from the ballot, and it worked.
Yeah. Jeremy Harkness says, frustrating when we see proposals on the ballot that might pertain to, for example, education. Those are likely full of unknown pork, yet get passed with no pushback. However, we have a pretty straightforward issue brought to the people, voted on, and passes, but because of bureaucratic red tape has been smothered all over marijuana, yet the South Dakota Supreme Court needs to dissect every single nuanced angle of Amendment A. This won't get resolved until the state knows how to tax marijuana.
Well, they're going to figure it out because they got that medical just starting up. And so I imagine what happens is they're going to start seeing, you know, the freaking, you know, the dollar signs are going to be flashing in their eyes. And then what's going to happen is they're going to figure out how, because they're all crony capitalists that just are in bed together and they, you know, so what's going to happen is all their buddies are going to figure out a way to make profit off of it, you know, form some corporations, some LLCs, and next, you know, that'd be the most hypocritical thing is like, okay, Kristi Noem's been against it and really fought tooth and nail against it. And then you just watch like a couple years from now, like she's got, you know, a minority stakeholder in a cannabis farm or some shit.
Yeah. I've always supported recreational marijuana as long as it follows the Constitution.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, that was funny. When she did that for medical, came out.
Yeah.
I was always for medical marijuana.
I just wanted it done right by me personally. It's like, okay. All right, Kristi. I guess she announced she's running for governor again, so.
Oh, yeah.
Goddamn, dude. Maybe it would be a good thing if she ran for president, and then we can be rid of her, and then Washington, D.C. can deal with her.
Yeah, I mean, when she was in Congress, I mean, she didn't really do anything, so, I mean, maybe that was best, right? You know?
Like, when you think about it, the only thing she's ever really done was stop Amendment A. That's like the only time she's like really done anything. You know, I'm happy she didn't do anything with the COVID stuff, but
yeah,
it still counts as not doing anything. She didn't do anything in the House of Representatives. I think there's like a page of anything she's ever spoken that can be written on like one page, like her entire tenure. So, yeah. Oh, Nikki says it should be interesting considering she has someone running against her in the primary. Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I've never heard of that guy running against her. I think I saw him at Americans for Prosperity.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah. I was going to point him out, but I heard he's like ultra conservative. You know, so that's the thing too. It's like, so like we'll hate on Kristi Noem for like some of her positions and shit, right? But then you got like the uber right or whatever that it's like Kristi Noem's not conservative enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like she's not. You know, it's like I don't know what you would want her to do. And as a libertarian, it's easy for me to point out a bunch of policies that I'm like, okay, I want Kristi Noem to do A, B, 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 B. You know, but what do you exactly want her to fucking do? Like outlaw abortion by executive order, you know, and it's like
mandatory minimum of 10 years for 2 grams or less of weed. 5 years if you have a gram or less.
Bible fucking teachings in the classroom, you know, like that's another thing I hear because I recently went to peer, and that's one thing I hear constantly. It's like critical race theory. It's like I can't even get a goddamn honest answer from most people about what they think that actually even means. But then they're so convinced that it's being taught in the classrooms. And I mean, I admit, I have not been in a South Dakota classroom in 22 plus years, but I don't know. I doubt. I don't know. You know, what is it?
Yeah.
Feels like you need to define it.
It's one of those Matchbox topics where everybody's got very heated opinions. Nikki says, to be fair, she also helped with constitutional carry.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah, I guess that's just an example of the government giving rights back that we already supposed to have since like 1780. My take.
You know what she did do? Speaking of me being in Pierre, though, recently, like she basically damn near militarized the fucking Capitol. Like you can't get in. That thing's got more tight security than the fucking international airport and the TSA. Like you got to go through a freaking metal detector, empty your pockets and shit, go through this room with a bunch of shit, and then there's highway patrol, like multiple highway patrol stationed on every single floor of that Capitol. You know, in their freaking bulletproof vests and this and that, and then circle over to the governor's mansion, and that thing's got a $400,000 fence that was built around it. So you got to be suspicious, man. It's like, what are you protecting yourself from? You know, it's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, sounds sketchy.
Protecting yourself from the people, you got all this armed security around you all the time. I mean,
maybe I should share some pictures of the little protest that you attended.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. They were protesting mandates, which, I mean, there aren't no mandates necessarily in South Dakota, so it was kind of an odd thing. But the legislature was in session that day, special session, and so they wanted to get their point across, which I guess, like you were just talking about with Amendment A, I guess that's what kind of irritates me about the lack of action from the people behind Amendment A, because it's like, you can make fun of this all you want as far as these people standing out here, but it was freaking raining that morning, and there's easily 100 people standing outside a pier in the morning. So when all those legislators are showing up in the morning, they got these people waving signs at them. Like, they see that, and that makes a statement. I mean, at the end of the day, it makes a statement. And so, like, these people that think the legislature is just going to act in good faith and legalize recreational marijuana this year are fooling themselves. But if you showed up to Pierre and you had 200-300 people protesting outside the freaking Capitol building saying, we want you to do this. Yeah. I mean, it makes a statement. You hope it makes an impact.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bummer. Nikki says she's less conservative than most folks think. But honestly, at this point, it's like being bit by a rattler and a cottonmouth and trying to decide which is worse.
You keep those snakes West River.
Yeah, we don't want to hear about your snake problem.
We don't have we don't have rattlers East River. We don't want them. That's one thing that you guys have over in the hills that I do not want.
Yeah, we can't. We're too.
Every once in a while, you'll hear of one because they swim. And I remember recently there was a picture online of one trying to frickin' get in somebody's boat on the Missouri River. Yeah. And so they'll come like that far, but apparently they don't come. They don't come East River.
Yeah, till global warming hits, then we'll be all everywhere. Allegedly. Jeremy Harkness says the issue with Noam is she plays to her base, not her personal beliefs. Her base is a 45-plus white evangelical, marijuana bad, sky daddy good, pew pews great. Love it.
That's a good comment. Yeah. Nikki thinks I'm full of shit. There are no rattlesnakes over here. There's bull snakes, but there's no rattlers. Garter snakes and bull snakes.
Yeah,
that's about it.
We got peaceful gardener snakes.
Yeah.
That's the way we want. What's the way we want it? Don't have any cactuses.
Yeah.
Weird bugs.
Yeah. Got good soil. We got white. Hey, so if we're gonna give West River a little shit here, West River deer are nowhere near as good as East River corn-fed deer.
I've been seeing on T Storm Chasers. I guess there's like a moose that came to Sioux Falls or nearby.
Yeah.
So now we have moose, dude. Like East River is where you want to be. It's like Alaska without mountains. Glaciers or auroras or
it's like the Rockies without the mountains and the trees.
You and your East River brainwash. That's from that John Morel's factory. We get all those fumes and we just start feeling real good about where we live.
Give ourselves a little bit of crap over here. Devin's been slanging coffee. And one coffee I used to like buying, it was a couple different companies make it, but it's like a variety. It's called Highlander Grog. Anyway, I really liked that one. I was thinking a good one for his company would be a Flatlander Grog.
I love it, dude. It's like you can see really far because it's a flat land, but also like mentally from the coffee, it's like a combination.
Oh, what else? If nobody wants to bitch about Noam, Maxwell's trial's going.
Yeah, I haven't heard it. It's hard to find any news on it, but I did hear one story that said Trump and Bill Clinton were on the plane. I think that was a testimony from the pilot.
But if it was all on the up and up in those cases, though.
Yeah, but you don't hear anything about it.
Well, I was just kind of
already knew.
Yeah, I was just kind of reading some of it, but it's like, man, this dude was like, in one thing I just read, the dude was sponsoring some freaking youth camp up in Michigan, and then getting girls out of that freaking camp and shit.
Yeah,
I don't know, but I heard a lot of people. When the trial first started, they were talking about all these people, big names that were resigning from all these companies and stuff. I know one big person in Britain or whatever was like the chief editor of the Daily Mail over there. And all these pictures surfaced of him and that Maxwell. And so he resigned. And, here's the thing, though. Everyone keeps saying that all these names are going to come out. Oh, she's going to name names and shit. But the way trials and courts usually work is if you were gonna name names, like you would have done that already, right? You don't take it to trial. I mean, maybe if she's convicted of a bunch of shit, then maybe. But usually, you know what I mean. It's kind of like
usually it's like in your deal, like you
right.
name names, we'll give you a plea deal, and then you don't even really go to court after you accept the plea deal.
Yeah,
maybe
right.
like a few times to get.
So I feel like she's not really naming names, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, cameo.
Oh, I got my cat. Yeah, here I'll share my screen. I'm on Twitter trying to like look at, I don't know what's going on with the stories, see what people are tweeting about. But it looks like, you know, both Republicans and Democrats were all up with this Epstein guy, so they're both trying to just sweep it under the rug because they both have dirt on their hands. And,
yeah, how is that not the biggest news going on right now? Like, how's the media just not covering? They beat to death stories all the time, and it's like it's pretty obvious.
It should be way bigger than the Rittenhouse trial, and that was like all over. Everybody was talking about that.
Yeah.
This one's all hush hush, and apparently in federal court you can't bring cameras, so it's not being live streamed. You were getting cartoon drawings, which I think is bullcrap. Why aren't there just cameras? It's the 21st century. Like we should have cameras in courtrooms now.
It's it's federal court because they don't want you seeing the bullshit that happens there. Like, the feds have like a 93% conviction rate, and like one of the things I've heard about the feds doing, like people that have been convicted in federal court that they've complained about, the federal court will decide I mean, I guess all courts do it to some extent, but I've heard of a lot of abuse in the federal court system where they decide what is evidence and what is not.
Yeah.
So if you have evidence that kind of contradicts the government's evidence, the judge literally can just be like, nah, you're not allowed to use that. Nah, you're not allowed to have people testify on your behalf. Nah, we're not going to allow you to, you know what I mean? Like, they just literally, and so, like, I feel 100% like that's why you're not allowed to record that. Because if any person were to be like, what is this bullshit? Like, you're not allowing the man to defend himself. You're denying everything and only allowing, you know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I mean, that's what I've heard. And so, makes sense.
Let's hear what Mike Cernovich
I don't care how.
Can you hear that?
I don't care how.
Yeah.
All right, this is the guy who filed the lawsuit or the request of information, whatever that's called. What is that called when you try to get this
Freedom of Information?
Freedom of Information Act. He filed that with some Florida journalists, and that's what kind of exposed that Jeffrey Epstein got like a sweetheart deal on his first trial in like 2009. And then he got arrested and blah, blah, blah. Well, here, I'm going to listen to what his thoughts are on the case.
Care how rich you are as a man, 55-year-old man. I think Epstein at the time, 45, 50. You're not just going to go up to a 16-year-old girl, be like, hey, you want to get in my car? Kind of deal. So you need the following conditions. One is you need broken homes. And this is why it drives people nuts. But this is why I say the left wants to break up homes, because it creates more victims. And we have people in their 30s, men and women saying, yeah, leave your parents. And I'm like, you're a groomer. Right. You're telling a 15-year-old girl to leave her mom and her dad? What is wrong with you, right? But that's the left. They want to break up homes because why? Now you have a more vulnerable population. The grooming process is always about you start friendly. So you find, Ghislaine goes in, she's friendly. Oh, how are you doing? How's life? How's school? Oh, you can't afford a prom dress. Yeah, well, let me help you out here. I'm your friend. Let's get coffee. Let's talk about life. That's that process of grooming them in. And then you bring them over. And if someone freaks out, then you just don't bring that person back. And then if a person's kind of comfortable, then they keep pushing the boundaries. I don't care how. Yeah,
so he's put his little right wing spin on it. But I think I saw Occupy Democrats post their take on it too. And they're saying that, here we go. A woman who was sexually abused by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein testifies that they took her to meet admitted sexual predator Donald Trump at his Florida club when she was only 14 years old.
Yeah, there's plenty of pedophiles on the left and right. So,
Yeah, so
once you start talking about, well, it's a liberal agenda, it's like, come on, dude. Like,
they're both just like slinging. They're both guilty, and they're both like just cherry picking the opposite sides.
It's like, are all them Catholic priests were liberals then, or what?
Yeah. So yeah, this will be an interesting case. I hope I guess names are being named, but then nothing really happens. It's just like, what the hell? Here, this guy, let's see what this guy has to say.
This is testimony. She was talking about being sexually abused by Jeffrey Epstein. She said that they helped lure her, Ghislaine Maxwell helped lure her into his orbit when she was just 14, and described how the depraved duo were, quote, giggling when they first molested her together. Just disgusting. Check out also this exclusive report from the Daily Mail. Jeffrey Epstein apparently spent some time at the Clinton White House. Visitor logs reveal pedophile visited the former president at least 17 times, including a dozen in 1994 and twice in one day on 3 separate occasions. Folks, it's where these meetings mattered that happened. Listen, I worked in the White House. You know that. Did they happen on the East Wing side? Was Jeffrey Epstein up in the residence? I'd like to know. They have those elevator logs. Someone should check that out, see if they still have that. Where do you go in the White House? They've also released photos from inside the Lolita Express party jet. And it turns out there were a lot more flights than previously known. The FAA accidentally just revealed 704 previously unknown Epstein flights. But does the Jeffrey Epstein case go much deeper than just that? This is from Substack, Technofog Substack. He asked a serious question. Apparently, Rolling Stone had reported about Epstein's dealings in the arms world in the 1980s, which led him to work for multiple governments, including the Israelis. Ward sources said that Epstein was, quote, known in the intelligence world as a hyperfixer, someone who can go between different cultures and networks. If the reporting here is accurate, folks, it opens up a lot of questions as to why all this disgusting behavior was allowed to continue for so long.
Well, I don't know. I think the question was answered. Is that Jim Acosta or whatever? He was the prosecutor in 2009. They gave him a sweetheart deal, and he was already being charged with molesting children. But then somehow Acosta changed that to prostitution, even though they were children.
Yeah.
And he basically was just under house arrest. And then he wasn't even really under house arrest. He was like unsupervised house arrest. So like nothing really happened to him. And then that got sealed. And then all his victims were kind of like, what the hell? Then it just disappeared. The story just got swept under the rug. Didn't hear about it again for like 11 or 12 more years when that court case got unsealed. But yeah, I forgot.
Well, it's kind of like, so, you know, there's strong feelings, I guess. I've met a couple people, which surprisingly, in recent news, that Aubrey Ahmed case, where the 3 dudes in Georgia basically chased the guy down and killed him.
Yeah.
So the way that kind of ties in, don't let me lose my train of thought here. But like what you were just saying about, okay, so the government knew this crap the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything about it until it came to light. And then once they knew the public got wind of it, then they had to do something about it. Okay? So, like, and it's like that Ahmed case or whatever, because the same thing had happened. Now, the cops had that video of them chasing that guy down the street and shooting him for months. Yeah. And they never once arrested those guys, and they never once pressed charges. But what happened was one of the defendants released that video to the public or whatever, thinking that it actually helped his case.
Yeah.
And once the public saw that fucking video, there was such an uproar from the public that it forced the people and the prosecutors in Georgia to bring charges. And so I guess all I'm pointing out here is that you don't expect the government to be looking out for you and doing things because you think they're just some noble agency. Like, they let this shit slide all the time, and it's only when the public gets mad about it do they, will they finally, again. So that's kind of another thing about protest. Protest. I mean, peacefully, but get out there and if you're pissed about something, make some noise.
Apparently, this is a video of Maxwell's sister being confronted by people.
Miss, what did your father tell you about working for the Mossad? Are you in delayed agents of the Mossad?
What?
Miss, are you in delayed agents of the Mossad?
Oh, yeah. I guess there's ties with Epstein and Israel. Oh, yeah, that's what I was getting at. Apparently, Jim Acosta's excuse for like why he gave that sweetheart deal was, I was told by my higher ups that he was an intelligence agent and that I had to give him the pass.
I think he was just a freaking a pimp for pedophiles, and that's why they gave him a pass. Had nothing to do. Like, I honestly don't believe the whole he was an agent, he worked for the government, whatever. Yeah. Like, I don't believe it. I think he was just a pedophile that catered to powerful and rich people. And so he had a lot of favors to call in,
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the conspiracy take would be that
well, because if he was actually for her, where they're asking, hey, were you in Maxwell a Mossad agent? It's like, you think that they would let some secret spy who knows government secrets go to trial?
They killed him though. Well, I'm not saying Mossad killed him, but I'm saying.
But I mean, her,
they didn't let it go to trial.
Yeah. Her. I mean,
maybe
I guess
she's not in on the intelligence stuff, but
yeah, I guess you're right.
I was thinking. I was just thinking more like, okay, like you get evidence against people like Bill Clinton, Donald Trump. Like, yeah, I got evidence on you that you were molesting children, even though I'm the one that provided those children for you. Like, I guess it's called like a honeypot, and then you basically, if something comes up with the like a bills or something you want passed, that's when you press that button, be like, hey, I want this done, I want this money sent here, and then you know what videos I got of you, so you have to do it. But I don't know.
That was one of the things, or maybe that was who's that other guy who recently died?
Bob Dole?
No, yeah, Bob Dole. But shit, I'm blanking on his name. Ran for president as a libertarian. McAfee. Yeah, everyone kept saying he had like all this information to give and whatnot, and it was like, dude, if he had that information, I feel like he would already given it. Like, he wouldn't have waited to. I mean, again, though, I don't know. These people didn't make it to court, so.
Yeah, dude, I heard when this case first started, I don't know, it was probably not even a real fake. It was probably fake news, but I heard that there was a safe or whatever with all of the honeypot tapes or documents or whatever in it, and that Ghislaine was offering to disclose the safe or tell its whereabouts if she could get off scot-free. And then I haven't heard anything about that since. But here's a video that's got like 50,000 views. I don't know, it's probably better than the last one I played. Let's see what happens here.
Ghislaine Maxwell wants to dox all her accusers. Said the workers in Palm Beach should look down like losers.
Oh, it's a little music video.
Kind of makes you wonder how this case was sealed. But having sex with children is a federal crime.
Yeah, I don't know if I can.
Kind of sounds like it kind of sounds like Charles Manson singing.
Yeah, it sounds kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm just trying to find like I don't know any kind of like reporting on this story, and it's really hard. I'm getting some parody blues videos. I'm getting conspiracy theorists talking about Mossad videos, but I'm not seeing any like coverage. You know, where's the big legacy media at?
Yeah. Well, what else has been going on in South Dakota that we missed? I don't know
either. I'm drawing blanks here. Anybody else want to comment on any news going on?
Bring up a topic and we'll piss you off about it real quick.
I'll go on Keloland and see how this read. Actually, I'm gonna go to Argus Leader since I pay for that. And I try to cancel my subscription a few times, and they're like, you gotta call us and type this code in and blah blah blah. And it's like
cancellations are on Tuesdays from noon to 2, and that's it.
Yeah. It's like Jesus. It's like a cell phone trying to cancel a cell phone plan. Well, you gotta call in on exactly the day before your subscription ends, and have your social security number, birth certificate on standby.
Trying to cancel it, you got to send in a bunch of information that you didn't even need to get the shit, but you need it now.
You need a negative COVID test, proof of vaccination.
Oh, you're not vaccinated? Can't cancel your cable. Sorry.
Let's see. I guess there's a new COVID strain.
Oh yeah.
That is the story. All the court legacy media is talking about. Oh, you got. I forgot what it's called. It starts with an O.
Omicron.
And
the only reason I really remember that is because it's from Futurama, that Omicron Persei 8. It was a planet.
Oh, here's a local story, a big one that kind of happened in Sioux Falls. There's a big shooting at Gilberto's apparently. And for those that aren't from Sioux Falls, that's literally like what, 3 or 4 blocks from the like downtown police station, which is like a whole block of like government buildings. Kind of risque to be doing your gangbang shooting there. Sioux Falls man arrested after he nearly ran over police officers with his car while fleeing a shooting at Gilberto's on Minnesota Avenue last month, has additional charges filed against him. Isaac Muhammad Wali, 20 years old. It's always like 19, 20-year-olds. Like, what's with these Zoomers, man? I don't remember millennials getting into shootouts like in Sioux Falls.
Well, my problem is we don't treat violent crime as serious as we should, and we treat like non-violent drug crimes. Like you can get caught with like a couple grams of dope or something or whatever, and literally get like 10 years in prison, right? But you get caught on some of these cases. Like there's been a lot of stabbings in Sioux Falls, and like you can stab somebody and then the court like calls it aggravated assault. Well, aggravated assault only carries a maximum sentence of 15 years. And sometimes they're only giving these people like 10 years. It's like, so this guy stabbed somebody else and you gave them basically the same sentence as a drug addict. That totally makes sense. It's like one person is a threat to society, the other person is a threat to themselves. I'd much rather spend my tax dollars, going after
Yeah.
person that's actually a threat to society.
Chris German says librarians need a Hagel gnome over civil asset forfeiture.
Well, we will
I
pick
think
at
we
those
do.
librarians.
We do Hagel. I think we. I guess I don't know if it's a libertarian faction of Americans for Prosperity. I think I can call it that.
Yeah.
They
They've-
pushed for civil asset forfeiture to end. Well, not end exactly. It was
Yeah.
well,
Go
yeah,
with-
to end. So like you'd have to be charged with a felony and be proven guilty before your property was seized, which is an end to civil asset forfeiture. Yeah.
We've
I would
actually
want it to go further than that myself, to where you don't even have your property seized. But whatever, it's a different topic.
Yeah, they've tried to bring the last couple of legislative sessions. There actually has been a bill for civil asset forfeiture. But if you needed another reason to hate Roundsburg, the Attorney General, like he speaks against that shit.
Yeah.
Last year, I listened to a little bit, and he sits in committee and he speaks against it, and he basically blackmails. It's not black. I mean, it's kind of legal coercion, I guess.
Yeah,
where
you went
he-
down. Yeah, you tell him.
Well, like you were just gonna say, he basically goes down a list and tells every county or every district how many dollars they're gonna lose per year because apparently that the way that civil asset forfeiture works, I'm not 100% about it, but like they get whatever county or whatever that it actually happens in
Yeah.
gets a percentage, or maybe they even get it all. I'm not sure, but so yeah, he basically coerces them all by going down the list and being like, "Well, you're gonna lose 150,000 a year, and you're gonna lose, whatever." And so yeah, it's pretty ridiculous because government shouldn't be about making money. So if you're telling me that the state's gonna lose 150,000, or this county is gonna lose 150,000, I say good. It's ill-gotten gains. You call it ill-gotten gains on the part of the defendant or the victim in that case, but from where I sit, it's ill-gotten gains on your part. You're stealing from somebody.
Yeah.
I'm okay with restitution to victims. If there's actually a victim in a crime, then yeah, by all means, that person maybe property needs to be seized to pay back that victim, but what we're talking about are victimless crimes for the most part, drug crimes. You're seizing assets for a drug crime.
Yeah, it essentially turns the police into a gang if they're keeping the money from they're basically keeping drug money. So that pretty much incentivizes them to not want the drug war to end ever because they're making bank off that.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like cigarette taxes. Every time the government wants to decide to raise the tax on cigarettes, it's like they say, well, if we raise it X amount, they're justifying it. They say, X number of people will quit because, they'll just get tired of it. They can't afford it, or they'll just decide that they've had enough with the expensive price or whatever. But what happens is, fast forward like a year later or whatever, and then guess what? Revenue's down. And politicians don't like that. They got less money to spend. So now they got to figure out a way to raise revenue because the number's down. It's like, if the number's down, good. That was the whole point, right? You said you wanted less people smoking. Less people smoking means less taxes. Just got to live with it.
Yeah. Another big story that came out, the richest man in South Dakota, Denny Sanford. This kind of ties into the Epstein case.
Ooh, speaking of pedophiles.
Specifically Epstein, but I mean, here's another rich guy. He's a billionaire. I think the only billionaire in South Dakota. Denny Sanford, everybody knows him. He donates all this money, but he basically earns that money by charging ridiculous interest rates on poor people and like being the only person who will give them a credit card. So when they don't pay the credit card back, then, that just gets written off, I believe. So he's not losing any money if people don't pay him back, but they're getting their credit destroyed. Anyhow, Authorities seized his phone, email, and internet data in a child pornography investigation of South Dakota's richest person, T. Denny Sanford, according to court records that were sealed for some reason. But finally, they've been unsealed. No charges have been filed. He's being represented by former Attorney General Marty Jackley. So yeah, I don't know what's going on with this case. I
mean, I feel like he wasn't charged with anything because otherwise, I don't know. But
maybe bribe them. I don't know. Seems kind of
could be.
sketchy. Oh, good. This guy's a billionaire. There's him with Christy Nome telling her what to do.
Yeah.
I guess Christy's been in the news for other stuff too, apparently. Or Senate's or legislative committees investigating her.
Yeah,
nepotism.
that's another big topic, but I need to do a little bit more research
We'll
and digging on that.
But yeah, I don't know.
But there must have been something to it though, because like her daughter, who it's all kind of over, resigned or whatever, and agreed to give up her license, and I don't know.
She's spinning it as like, this is an attack by the liberal media against me, your good old constitutional conservative governor. It's like, all right, I guess. I mean, I'm not a liberal, and I still want to know what the hell went on.
Yeah.
Myself. Libertarians want to know too.
And then I'm not sure what's going on with Brownsburg either. I think they're still mulling that shit. It's like
we need here's what they're doing. They needed to set up an investigative committee, and they're going to spend, I think, a couple months going through all the evidence that we've already seen, and they've had a year to go through.
But now we're going to go through it on the taxpayer dime.
Yeah.
So that means a lot more slower and intensive process.
It's like, if you can't just watch the police interviews that are already released like 8 months ago, if you can't watch that and come to a conclusion already, it's like, what the hell, dude? And
one thing that somebody brought up to me, which is kind of, I mean, it makes sense a little bit, but one reason that people are kind of dragging their feet on the whole Brownsburg thing is that once, let's say, they hurry up, vote, impeach, get rid of Brownsburg, well, then guess what happens? Christy Nome gets to appoint his replacement. And then guess who's the new Attorney General for the next year? Marty Jackley.
Yeah.
He'll be the new Attorney General. And Marty Jackley has his own skeletons in the fucking closet.
Yeah, he's got a lot more than Brownsburg, if you're asking me.
But you know,
it's just common. Brownsburg is just like 100% fact, and Marty Jackley has been able to keep his skeletons a little bit more locked up.
But when the guy was talking to me about this, and he was kind of bringing this point up, and then he's a Republican, so he's telling me about it. He's like, well, you know, if you get rid of Brownsburg, then you end up with Jackley and stuff like that. And but Marty Jackley has announced that he's running for Attorney General this fall already. So, and like the thing is, it's like, so then he's telling me that somebody's gonna primary, you know, somebody else will be running against Marty Jackley. But it's like, see, this is the problem with two-party politics anyways, is that, and especially it's two-party politics, but I live in a red state, so really it's one-party politics. It's not even two-party politics.
Yeah.
So it's like we're going to end up with Marty fucking Jackley as our Attorney General again next year. That's just what's going to happen. I don't need to wait a year for the election results to come in. Like, that's literally just what's going to happen. Even though, like, all the conservatives and all these people that don't like Jackley, because it's like, yeah, but you're going to vote for him, because once your buddy loses the primary, you're going to vote for the Republican, because what would be your other option? You're going to vote for a Democrat? I doubt it. I doubt it. So you're going to still vote for that Republican. That's what I mean. So I met a few of these primary opponents for one of them's running against Thune. One of them's running against Johnson. So I kind of met and ran into those people in Pierre. But I guess my thing is like, well, what's the fucking point? It's like you're not going to beat the incumbent candidate.
Mhm.
It's like, in my opinion, it's like run libertarian. You guys aren't even going to make it on the election ballot. Like you're going to run in this primary, but it's just going to be a waste because you're still going to fucking lose to the incumbent. You know, I mean, maybe I'm being too pessimistic, but I don't know.
Yeah, and it's just sad because he got busted for covering up sexual harassment in the Department of Criminal Investigation. So it's like, yo, like you really gonna default to Marty Jackley if he wins your Republican primary? Like he shouldn't win the Republican primary anyways. That should be like a career-ending scandal. But oh no, he represented Denny Sanford, so now he's got like a billionaire backing him probably now.
Yeah.
But who knows who puts? I guess you have to be you have to have a law degree to run for attorney general in South Dakota. So
Do you? I don't think you do because I thought Bob Newland ran.
Oh, maybe you don't. Maybe they changed it. I don't know. I thought you did.
I could be wrong. I mean, it would be helpful, I suppose.
Maybe not though. Maybe we get somebody in there who knows about maritime law to be their attorney general.
I want an attorney general that knows bird law.
Yeah. Like maybe we need somebody who doesn't know anything about the law to be the attorney general, to clean things up, you know, to not try to like spin things with their legalese to like make things okay. Like, oh, it's just careless drive. Like, oh, so you have a law degree and all these years of schooling, but you're coming to the conclusion that that was careless driving, hitting somebody in the middle of the night. Okay. We got our Supreme Court justices. They all have law degrees, a lot of court experience. Oh, 4 of them think that recreational marijuana and medical marijuana is so different that it needs to be, that's a single subject. Like, really? That's what all your years of law school have been for? Like, yeah, we need like a Domino's pizza delivery driver to be the attorney general. They'll know what's up. I trust them way more than somebody just with boots on the ground, common sense, man. Garrett Bald here. How about you read this? I'm losing my voice.
Jared Baldwin says the fines for parking tickets in the city of Aberdeen will increase 20% next year. Why, you may ask? Taxpayers have purchased the municipality a brand new digital state-of-the-art citation issuing system. Aren't we so nice? In the publicly published minutes of the city council meeting reports the police department statement to the city council on why fees were being raised to pay for all the upgrades. Yeah, I mean, hey, you gotta optimize. You know, if I've learned anything about the government is that it's always working to be more efficient, to serve the public better. Right? No? Yeah. Crickets?
All right, one last story. I thought this one was interesting. It's not really, I don't know. I guess the left's trying to make us a political story, but I just think it's funny. Apparently, a plumber found $600,000 in Joel Osteen's Houston church. I guess this headline saying he thinks he deserves a reward. A plumber who found a large sum of money hid inside the wall of the Houston mega church. Everybody knows who Joel Osteen is. I don't think I have to explain who he is. But apparently, that money was reported missing in 2014.
Yeah, it's really weird. Just I kind of read and saw about the case a little bit too. But like the weird part for me is because they say that people broke in and cracked their safe and took the money. What I had read anyway said that robbers had broken in, cracked the safe, but then why the fuck would they hide it behind a wall in the building?
Yeah, it seems sketch, man.
It had to. The only thing that would even make sense is that it was an inside job, and then somehow the guy died or he got fired and he couldn't get the stuff.
Yeah.
Because like one of the things they found was a bunch of checks too, and it's like, well, those checks aren't any good. Like you weren't going to save those for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I guess if you were a longtime employee and you just stole a bunch of money, hid it in the wall, and you're like, this is my retirement. And so like 10 years later, you go back, you steal it. No, I mean, honestly, nobody would be any the wiser. But why would you steal checks? Like those aren't any good. You can't cash them 10 years later. That don't make no sense.
Yeah, I think you cracked this case wide open, dude. I bet it was an inside job, and the dude probably just died. Maybe they died of COVID recently. Who knows?
Yeah, it's like who died that worked for us in the last 7 years?
But now the left's all saying we need to tax churches because they've got $600,000 stashed away in their walls. It's like, no, we just need to stop taxing everybody. If we stop taxing everybody, then everybody would have $600,000
Stashed in their walls.
in their walls.
Yeah, that was a weird one. And then the guy wants a reward, and then Osteen says, "Your reward will be in heaven, my son." Your reward is waiting for you, and once you get to the pearly gates, you know.
Drives off in Lamborghini.
Yeah, right. She's like, "Bless you," and drives off. It's like, well, yeah, he probably give him one of them outdated checks that he can't cash. It's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I think that's it for me. You know, any
All
final
right.
words or final thoughts?
Oh no, just as far as that recreational marijuana, South Dakotans for Better Marijuana Laws is collecting signatures again. They got till like May to collect the signatures. I got some petitions. If you want to hit me up, I'll bring them to you. You can sign them or go to one of the other places they got them or whatever. Just sign it. Let's get it back on the ballot. Let's get it passed.
Hell yeah. And if you want some fresh roasted coffee beans, hit up mapledrip.com and place an order. We basically roast them right after we receive the order. So they're like totally fresh as hell from Costa Rica. And yeah, and we're also sponsored by pinkcoin.com. Check them out at pinkcoin.com. See what they're all about. And that's all I got for the night. So
Me too.
we'll
See you guys
next time.
later.
Peace.